It's been the worst kept secret in Formula One, really. One of the most brilliant engineers as well in all of motorsport history, and car designers, engineering minds as well. He has finally decided where he's going. Adrian Newey has signed with the Aston Martin Formula One team for the 2025 season and beyond, leaving his role as Chief Technical Officer at his longtime team Red Bull Racing. Newey will begin his work at Aston Martin in March in 2025 as the team's managing technical partner. Now, Newey wanted a change of scenery in the next chapter of his F1 career, and Aston Martin provided him a new home for his guidance and creativity. Now, looking at some of the things for Newey to be excited about, we have a new set of technical regulations coming in 2026. Aston Martin will be using Honda power units, advanced fuels by Aramco, and the team has invested a lot in a new wind tunnel. Newey said that he's thrilled to join Aston Martin after seeing how much team owner Lawrence Stroll has invested in the team's future success, noting how he is the only majority team owner actively engaged in the sport. The photo courtesy there of Aston Martin F1. So, Kobe, the worst kept secret in the paddock seems to be out. There were a lot of rumours whether or not it'll be Ferrari or even Williams at times. It seems now it's Aston Martin. So is Aston Martin a good fit for Newey? Do you think that this will be the final landing spot for his F1 career?
Well, when you look at where Newey is right now, age-wise, I'm going to answer the second part of that question first. I think this will more than likely be his final landing spot in Formula One. And I think that he has a huge opportunity here to do something special with Aston Martin. He already listed all the great things Aston Martin has. There's a lot to be excited about if you work for Aston Martin, because like you said, they've invested a lot in this F1 project. It's more of a long-term thing, next few seasons or so, see if Aston Martin can make some noise. But you can't go wrong with Adrian Newey. I think Adrian Newey is one of those rare people in Formula One that whatever he wants, he gets, just so we can try to get him in. And I really think he's going to have a huge impact on Aston Martin, because every team Adrian Newey touches, they find success at some point. It may not be in year one, may not be in year two, but at some point down the line, Adrian Newey is going to find success with Aston Martin. It would not surprise me at some point in the future if we see them, battling for wins on a regular basis. See an Aston Martin driver getting podiums, in the mix for the constructors. I think there's a lot of potential for Aston Martin. We'll just have to wait to see how it goes. And yeah, I'm sure a lot of people were kind of surprised that he didn't choose Ferrari, especially since Newey's made comments in the past that he would love to, work for Ferrari someday. And Lewis Hamilton's going over there next year, and he said that Hamilton is one of the drivers that he loved to work with. But one of the drivers who are currently at Aston Martin, Fernando Alonso, that's another one of the drivers that Newey said he wanted to work with. So at least he got 1 out of 2 there. So I guess that's good enough that he'll get to work with Alonso over Hamilton. But yeah, I do think that there's a lot of potential for this to be a good fit. And I know, Josh, when we move on into the second part of this segment, we're going to find out some more details of how this deal came about, and I'll expand a little bit more on my answer.
Absolutely, because if we look at how this deal came together, according to Lawrence Barretto as well from F1.com, he's also on F1 TV as the journalist who answers all the questions in the pen. Aston Martin started to seriously pursue Adrian Newey back in April. Lawrence Stroll and Newey have a history of working out together at hotel gyms during race weekends around the world. I think Lawrence said that he was on a bicycle and Adrian was on a treadmill, so they were very much ready and willing to go. They weren't strangers, and when the negotiations began, Stroll knew that he'd had tough competition from rival F1 teams in the paddock for Newey's services, so he had to think of a way to truly sell his vision to the legendary car designer as well. It's before the Canadian Grand Prix a few months ago. Aston Martin team members were sent to work from the factory in the Andy Kingdom race day, were told to stay at home. So while Newey got a private tour of the facility, and it was after the tour that Newey was blown away and impressed, seeing that Aston Martin was willing to invest any resource needed to succeed in Formula One. What really got Newey more interested in Aston Martin over the others, who was the willingness to offer him the chance to become a shareholder and partner, which is something that he has wanted. In fact, one of the main reasons he left Williams as well back in the 1990s was because Frank Williams was set against Adrian Newey getting an ownership in the team and becoming a partner. He refused that, so Adrian went off to McLaren. He's also wanted that at Red Bull. He never got it as well. And it's interesting enough that Adrian made his mind up after the Japanese Grand Prix, which is the same time that it was announced as well who the new owners would be around Red Bull and how the new format would work going forward. So Adrian was took one look at that and gone, right, that's it, I'm off. So the link to all of that is in the video description below. And according to Sky Sports News, Newey's salary is expected to be over $26 million, and that could rise to $39 million with bonuses as well. That's about £86 per hour, which is absolutely fantastic. So with more context to the situation, do you see how Aston Martin persuaded Newey to choose them over a competitor like Ferrari?
Yeah, Josh, you just mentioned how much Adrian Newey is going to be making, and like I said in the previous answer, I believe Adrian Newey is one of those rare people. Be like, what if Adrian wants this? You get him that, because he's one of those people who can truly make a difference in a Formula One program. You don't sign Adrian Newey, you might be stuck in the midfield when we get to the next set of regulation. You hire Adrian Newey, and you might have a chance to fight towards the front. So I think Aston Martin did everything that they had to do to try to get Adrian. And yeah, there's certainly a lot to be excited about. This new facility that Aston Martin has built, and heck, Adrian Newey even got a private tour of this facility with nobody there. Everybody else had to go home. I think that's really wild, but they definitely rolled out the red carpet for him and wanted to show him, that they meant business, that they are serious people about trying to get to the front of the grid. And I don't think Adrian Newey would want to go to a program, that's, in shambles, I guess, like the Audi F1 project, because I know in the past, few shows we've talked about Audi and how, things are not really going well there behind the scenes. So that's probably wouldn't be the type of project that Adrian would want to be a part of. But Aston Martin, the team, have all these resources in play. They're adding a lot of other key people to this organization, though. Aston Martin is on the upward trajectory. So there's definitely a lot, to look forward to here. And then another thing that you mentioned in the previous segment, Josh, about Lawrence Stroll being a I guess hands-on team owner. That's something that kind of surprised me. I actually did not know that about Lawrence Stroll, that he's actually more actively engaged. It's not like some of the F1 programs that we see, where you basically have the boss sit back and hire somebody else to run the team and you report to me. But it seems like Lawrence Stroll is actively engaged with the team and doing whatever he can, to invest here and invest there, so the team has the best possible chance for a long-term success. So I think that was an interesting note right there. But yeah, becoming a shareholder and a partner, within team ownership, that is huge for Adrian Newey. I know a lot of times, in various racing series, you'd have maybe a driver, come to like a team owner and being like, I want a stake in the team ownership. And then, you just get kind of laughed out the door. And just as you brought up, Adrian Newey basically had the same experience when they're back at Williams, going to Sir Frank asking, hey, can I be a part of the ownership? And then, just laugh you out the door. And then you have to figure out what you want to do from there. And I guess Adrian Newey finally felt like he was getting the respect that he rightfully deserved after all these years, and that Lawrence Stroll, was able to let him become a part of the ownership group by having become that shareholder and partner, because that's probably one of the final things Adrian Newey wanted to accomplish in his Formula One career, to basically have a voice at the table, so to speak, and to become one of the most powerful people at this Aston Martin F1 team. So it sounds like Adrian Newey definitely got a great deal, and I can definitely see why he chose Aston Martin over other options.
Something insane about like a 19.3% win rate that Adrian Newey has in Formula One, which is higher than some F1 drivers as well. And as you say, he has every team he's been with has had a Grand Prix winning car. So it's just absolutely fantastic to think what it could do. And yeah, how different things could be if Frank Williams had given Adrian Newey a part of the Williams team back in the 1990s. Williams could be still winning championships to this day. And it was a possibility that he could go back there, but sadly, it is not going to be the fairy tale for him to go back to Williams and try and bring them back up to a success. Interesting enough that James Vowles has said just before this weekend's Azerbaijan Grand Prix that him signing Carlos Sainz is step one of 1,000, and that he's expecting them to be winning races in about 2 to 3 years' time. Same timeline that Aston Martin have to be winning races within 3 years. Of course, regulation changes 26, 27 is when everything else comes back up. So it's getting good. And I've seen people saying, oh, Adrian Newey is going to make Fernando Alonso world champion 2025. He won't design next year's car. He doesn't even start working for the team until the midweek of January. So that's not going to be.
March 1st.
Oh, is it March 1st? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I think it was March 1st. I think I saw that in the press release when I was reading it. And also, Josh wanted to bounce off the point on putting timelines on things. I know James Vowles said Williams, will hope to be winning races by 2028. What did Alpine say? I forgot who it was. Since I've been through so many team principals, it's hard to keep up with all of them. But one of their team principals said that we're going to give it 100 races before we're winning, and it's already been 100 races. How'd it work out for them? Yeah, so I don't really like putting timelines on things like that because it can blow up on your face and embarrass you like it did Alpine there. And Alpine is still in shambles to this very day. But I hope that they end up getting things together because right now it seems like Aston Martin is the team that has their stuff together.
Yeah, it's really weird, isn't it, to have a team like that, because Aston Martin we all thought they were, well, let's say when they were Racing Point, we all thought, okay, they've got something here. Then to get them as a manufacturer with Aston Martin was fantastic. And now to see them having all this come together, that means we've got Red Bull as a factory team coming in with their own power unit. You've got Ferrari, you've got Mercedes, you've got McLaren with a customer deal with Mercedes, but still as a manufacturer in a way. And then you've got Aston Martin coming in with Honda, making them a factory team as well. That's 5 of the 6 engine manufacturers who could be right up the top end of the field. And then you've got Audi coming in. They're looking hopefully to get the ball rolling, going strong. And then you've got Porsche sort of hanging around. If it goes well with Audi, they're going to try and come in. It's only really Alpine, as you say, that are off the ball. But still, we're going to run out of space. At this point, we need more teams. Otherwise, every car on the grid is going to be a factory team.
Andretti,
yeah, they want to come in, and they're going to bring GM in, aren't they, for 2028?
If they get approved, which it doesn't really look promising right now, but who knows? And
shoes.
Andretti was one of those teams that was interested in Adrian Newey, and it would have been fun to see Adrian Newey go to Andretti, but given the murkiness of this project, it would have been nice. But I'm sure Adrian Newey wanted to get some stability, and Aston Martin is already well in the sport. They've invested in this and that, and it really seems like a safe option for him rather than go to Andretti because you go to Andretti, let's say they don't get in, then you basically wasted a couple of years of your life when you could have been in F1.
And really, I should have seen this coming a bit more. Obviously, the 3 teams that were rumored were Aston Martin, Ferrari, and Williams, but we should have really expected it to be Aston Martin, because Aston Martin were Racing Point, we're Force India, we're Spiker, we're Midlands, we're Jordan. So, and Adrian Newey, his manager, is Eddie Jordan. And that Aston Martin team is still based at Silverstone. Yes, they've now moved offices, but it's still on the grounds where Jordan was. So, of course, Eddie Jordan is going to get Adrian Newey into the team he started. So it just makes so much sense. And Lawrence has been around since the 1990s. He was around in the Benetton days. He's been around for a very, very long time. He's a shrewd businessman, and he knows what he wants, and he's going to get what he wants. I'm very excited, Kobe, about this. I want to pick your brain on one question that's not in the script as well. Lance Stroll or Fernando Alonso, which one's going? Because Max Verstappen's also rumored to now be picked up and put in that car for 2026. Which one would you get rid of, Stroll or Alonso?
I said, well, thinking logically, I would get rid of Lance Stroll, but realistically, I have a bad feeling that it's going to be Fernando Alonso, and it's been amazing to see how Fernando Alonso has defied father time. He's still very quick, and you think a driver who's getting up there in age that that he's going to fall off, but we really haven't seen Fernando Alonso fall off a cliff performance wise, and I'd really like for him to hold on, till 2026, 2027, so he could potentially be in an Adrian Newey design car that can go out there and fight for race wins, podiums, and put the team in a good spot constructor wise. But with Lance Stroll, we know he's obviously Lawrence's son, so I think we can obviously say that Lance is going to be in Formula One until he decides not to, as long as his father is the owner of the team. So I have a feeling Lance Stroll probably won't go anywhere until Lance Stroll says, that I'm done. But I think Lance would be very interested in staying in Formula One, until he gets an Adrian Newey design car. Because why wouldn't you, right? You'd have a chance to potentially do what you've never been able to do in Formula One before, to fight up front and see what you can do towards the front of the grid. So I think that might be an enticing opportunity for Lance Stroll. But who knows? Maybe, I know it would be a difficult discussion, between father and son, or maybe at some point Lawrence comes around and decides, that having his son in this car is not really the best move, because Aston Martin, as we've talked about in this show before, they're going to have a prototype coming online next year, scheduled to make their debut in the Rolex 24 with the Heart of Racing. They're going to run in the World Endurance Championship and the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. So I think that will be it's not just me, it's been other members of our team as well said here on the air that will be a good landing spot for Lance Stroll. He can still be an Aston Martin driver, but in sports car racing, so he still get the drive an Aston, just in a different type of discipline. But I think Lance is probably going to hold on till he gets to drive an Adrian Newey car before he bows out of Formula One, because when you really think about it, it would be quite silly to bow out before you get to drive one of Adrian's cars.
I agree with you. And if Lance Stroll becomes a world champion, I will be very, very surprised.